He's offered $7 million for your life. $7 million is a lot of money, Mr. Wick.
So I guess you have a choice. You want a war? Or do you want to just give me a gun?
Somebody please get this man a gun.
Let's go.
Your descent into hell begins here, Mr. Wick. Earl will guide you. Do be careful on your way down. Oh, and remember, you owe me.
You don't want me owing you.
And that's a clip from John Wick 2. I'm delighted to say that Keanu Reeves is our special guest. Keanu, how are you, sir?
I'm good today. Good morning.
It's very good to have you. Is it so John Wick Chapter 2? Because just looking behind you at the poster, the 2, he's got like chapter written through it. And I think at the beginning of the movie it says Chapter 2. What are we calling it?
Yes, it's called John Wick Chapter 2.
John Wick Chapter 2. Now, the last time you were on the show, which you won't remember, but we had a long conversation about Side by Side, and back in 2012, about the future of digital technology. And I found all the way through when I was watching John Wick, I was thinking, I wonder whether that it was such a great film, and the conversation, and you were so enlightening about the subject. And I just, before I forget altogether, whether it was ever worth revisiting that, and the extent of digital technology, and whether you're always constantly looking at the film process.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a keen student, you know.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when I was doing Side by Side, Panavision stopped making film cameras, and Aeroflex stopped making, Arri stopped making film cameras. And I would say about 80% of the movies, 85 were being done on film. And now in 2016, 17, I don't know, is it 90% of the films are shot on digital? So that's kind of a sea change, technology-wise. John Wick, digital, working with the cinematographer Dan Laustsen, who really, I mean, I think the film has a really beautiful aesthetic. Colors, the lensing, the camera movement, the composition.
Because my guess is, as you revealed in Side by Side, you're a keen student of these matters, that you are aware of every single stage of the film process. So obviously we're blown away by the choreography and the action sequences and the fact that John Wick is back. And I'm guessing that
Cool, great, thank you.
Cool, great, and thank you. But Keanu Reeves is actually involved in everything. You know, you see all this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm with John Wick Chapter 2 involved in the creative aspect of it. I developed the first script with the producer, and then going into Chapter 2, it was like, okay, so why a sequel? What are we doing? We have this wonderful opportunity. We have a film that was embraced by an audience, and they're giving us this opportunity. What the heck are we going to do? And so it was really cool to sit with the director, Chad Stahelski, the producer, Basil Iwanek, and the writer, Derek Kolstad, and start to kind of brainstorm. The director knew he wanted to start the film about 5 days from the first film, which I thought was cool. And
so you're kind of exhausted already.
No, that's the thing. No, it's the creative. The creative gives you the chi, and I mean, I love the character, and I love the world, and so it was cool to come up with ideas: the marker, the debt, the consequences of this assassin's past, kind of putting John, the civilian, the guy who's grieving his wife, his life in danger.
Just in case anyone missed John Wick Episode 1,
right?
Just get us up to speed. So it's 5 days later, but where do we find him? 5 days after what?
Okay, so he's an assassin. His wife's dead. His dead wife gives him a dog to help kind of ground him, have him a connection to the world. As fate would have it, this young kid, this Russian kid, ends up stealing my car, my '69 Mustang, and killing my dog. He doesn't know that I'm this mythical assassin, John Wick, who's trying to retire. So the first film, this kind of Old Testament John Wick character kind of comes out, and he goes after this kid, seeking a kind of revenge. At the same time, his father's a Russian crime lord, and he starts sending people to kill me. Now, needless to say, I'm John Wick, so they don't make it. And then in the second film, the film opens with me trying to get my car back. But it turns out it's not my car that I want. It's the letter from my wife, a birthday card. And hence begins the John Wick tone.
So it's interesting. So it's interesting that you should call
Action
him
and drama.
action and drama and Old Testament. Is he a righteous man?
Pathos. Righteous. Yeah. Yeah, I think he is. I think John Wick actually has a strong sense of honor. There's this underworld, this kind of cool underworld in the John Wick tone, where there's this underworld of the assassins and the criminals, kind of represented by this hotel called the Continental, which is a kind of safe house for all of these nefarious characters.
Where you're not allowed to break the law at all.
Where you can't break the rules, you can't, no business can
Ian
be
McShane
conducted.
is in charge.
Oh, the fantastic, what a man, Ian McShane. Fabulous actor and person. And so you have the real world, and then you have this kind of mythical underground world. And in the second film, Chapter 2, we open that world up with new characters. Lawrence Fishburne is playing this character called the Bowery King, which is like an even deeper level of nefarious characters. And then we have a high level, which is called the High Table. Yeah. And
I think people,
and so I'm trying to pay. Someone comes to collect a debt, and John Wick doesn't really want to do that. John Wick wants to stay retired. But he's forced to by the rules. If he doesn't pay this debt, he gets killed. If he kills a person who owns his marker, which is the kind of John Wickian IOU, I get killed, so I'm forced to go do this.
Does that change the tone of what we think about John Wick, given that, that's why I asked about whether he's a righteous man, because now he's setting off on this mission, but he's going through all this John Wickian business, but he's doing it because he has to rather than because he wants to.
Yeah, he just wants to be left alone and retire. But he's forced into this. I mean, we were exploring the idea of the duality of the guy. So, I mean, there's John, the civilian, the widower, and then John Wick, the assassin. And in a way, John Wick ends up fighting for John's life. And I think it's about his kind of self-agency, his independence from all of this world. Unfortunately, the decisions that John Wick make kind of put John in a pickle. So there's a lot of people, there's open contracts in the world. The underground world is coming after John Wick.
I can't imagine John Wick saying, I think I'm in a pickle.
I know, John, yeah. I think I'm in a pickle. Yeah.
How long does it take to become John Wick? I've seen all the videos of the weapons training that you did and,
cool.
and the martial arts training. I mean, you really, when you go for this, you put yourself, I mean, all the people who you worked with were saying things like, no one works harder than Keanu Reeves. So how long did it take to become John again?
Yeah, I love action. I love doing action, and I love being able to do as much as I possibly can, because not only is it fun to do that, but I think it's also a time to reveal character and connect with the audience. If they see you doing it, and they see you before and then during and then after and see the consequences, I think you're having a relationship with the audience. You're not cutting away. There's less of a suspension of disbelief. It's like more like disbelief, like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? Which I think is cool, and it's fun to go to John Wick boot camp.
And what does that actually involve?
Yeah, so for this one, it was about 3-4 months on and off of jiu-jitsu and judo. I got to do a lot of live fire. So going to the gun range and, spending time with all of the weapons and shooting steel and targets and doing transitions and all that fun stuff. And driving cars around, sliding them around. It's fun.
So on the one hand, it's boot camp, but on the other hand, this is you just doing what you enjoy doing anyway.
I know, but, you got to put some struggle in there. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's fun.
Are you, in fact, this is one of the people that you work with, one of the stunt guys you're working with said something like, I think Keanu is a bit of a warrior anyway.
Wow, that's kind.
Is there a part of you that actually you think is a warrior? Not a worrier, but a warrior.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that about myself. I mean, I would say I'm committed and dedicated, and I love what I do, and I love John Wick, and so for me, it's and I'm also getting an opportunity to do some things in the action, physical acting world that a lot of people don't get a chance to do. I'm getting this training. I have a director who knows how to do the composition, has the concepts. I'm working with, fantastic stunt people, and because it's a cooperation, it's a dance. And so for me, I want to do as much and as best that I can.
And I wonder if
whatever it takes.
the choreography of this film is almost as intense as La La Land. I mean,
for sure.
In terms of the dance and the ballet that you go through, it's just as intense, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and then throw in some cars, throw in some flipping, some gun shooting, some knife work.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling didn't have any of that, did he?
Yeah, he just had to sing and dance. No, but which is another tightrope, which is a whole other thing.
Of course, no disrespect intended. Some listeners' questions, if I can. Christopher George, listener Christopher, says, is John Wick a hero or an anti-hero?
It's quantum, baby. It's both.
Okay.
Until your perspective, right? So
then
I think you kind of have to decide that.
And what's your perspective?
I'm quantum. I mean, I think you know what? I think he's heroic in the sense of the way he's fighting for his life.
James Golding, I think the Continental Hotel could get its own spin-off or TV series, which would be a first, actually, wouldn't it, for a hotel to get its own spin-off? But it's intriguing.
A spin-off? Well, I know. What did Fawlty Towers? What happened with them? Did they get a spin-off?
I don't think they did.
No?
No.
They should have.
Would you be interested in setting that up?
The Fawlty Tower Continental?
Yeah. John Wick.
Where it's like the failed assassins, the guys who can't really do it, who don't really want to be criminals.
Imagine that just for a moment. Fawlty Towers
John
becomes
Cleese is the head of the kind of Fawlty Tower underworld.
Ian McShane would probably fit quite happily in both. There's the connection.
Yeah, that's where he he goes there on the weekend.
This is a great idea, which you've just had. And Darren, as a fan growing into my 40s, could you share your secret voodoo spell for remaining so spry at 52? What a good word spry is. That shooting range clip was insane. How do you manage to stay so sharp?
Well, it's all perspective, but I don't know. I've been blessed with the good genes, and because I'm certainly not doing enough to take care of this old mortal coil, kind of putting it through the ringer. But when it comes time to go to work, it's the diet, it's the training, and less drink, and But
you get your fun elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, it kind of turns into the focus of that.
What do we see you in next, Keanu?
What am I doing? I have a wonderful supporting role in a picture from a great director, Anna Lily Amapour, in a film called The Bad Batch with Suki Waterhouse.
Okay. Keanu, a pleasure to have you back. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you so much, man.